All right, let's just jump right into this, shall we? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack what is, honestly, one of the most awe-inspiring and historically massive spending sprees the business world has ever seen. I mean, we're talking about an absolutely unprecedented scale of capital being deployed by big tech right now. You know, if you follow the news even a little bit, you know AI is literally everywhere. But what you might not be seeing is the sheer physical mountain of cash being moved behind the scenes to actually make all of it work.
$670 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. I really want to express my genuine astonishment here because, well, this isn't some loose projection for the next decade. No, this is the combined capital being deployed right now, today. This astronomical figure is exactly what large tech organizations are throwing down to construct and equip highly specialized AI data centers. We aren't just talking about, writing software code anymore. This is heavy metal. It's concrete. It is industrial scale infrastructure on a massive level. So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll hit the $670 billion AI bet. Then, building the AI infrastructure. Third, the economic ripple effect. Fourth, how your world changes. And finally, we'll wrap up with the massive financial risks. We're literally going to follow the money from corporate bank accounts straight into the ground and right up to some looming market vulnerabilities. All right, starting off with part one, the $670 billion AI bet. Let's look at the corporate priority here. So, throughout late 2025 and into early 2026, we saw tech executives aggressively revising their budget guidance upward, like way upward. But to really grasp where that money is actually going, we've got to talk about capital expenditure, or CapEx. Simply put, CapEx is the money a company spends to buy, maintain, or improve fixed physical assets. Think buildings and heavy equipment. We're not just tracking software development budgets here. We're tracking the aggressive acquisition of vast tracts of physical land and extremely heavy machinery. What's driving this is basically a massive CapEx arms race. Executive teams are watching their competitors' models advance at breakneck speeds, and they're frankly terrified of technological obsolescence. So their strategic objectives are crystal clear. They need to scale compute power to train the next generation of AI. They want to secure cloud market share so corporate clients rent from them. They have to reduce operational latency so your AI assistant responds instantly, right? And critically, they need to develop custom hardware to lower their long-term dependence on third-party chip manufacturers. Moving on to part two, building the AI infrastructure. Let's look at the physical reality on the ground. This physical build-out generally happens in 4 sequential steps: land acquisition, hardware procurement, specifically those high-end GPUs, advanced cooling installation, and power grid integration. And, the sheer irony here is kind of amazing. The world's biggest software companies are now, essentially, in the plumbing and utilities business. Because these GPUs generate such extreme heat, operators are having to install intense liquid cooling mechanisms that circulate fluids directly over the hardware. And to power the whole shebang, they are integrating straight into electrical grids, actively securing dedicated nuclear, solar, and wind energy. To really vividly picture the staggering, unprecedented scale of that very first step, the land and building acquisition, consider this direct phrase from our sources. These companies are establishing the largest single building structures in modern construction history. Think about that. They aren't just building nice new corporate offices. They are erecting centralized industrial mega projects. Which brings us to part 3, the economic ripple effect, the global spillover. Look, when you drop $670 billion into the economy, it absolutely does not just stay in Silicon Valley. The hyperscalers, so Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, they're the primary spenders and facility operators, but that capital immediately flows out as direct revenue to semiconductor suppliers who design the high-performance chips. It flows to energy and utility providers who have to deliver literally gigawatts of electricity. And of course, it heavily funds the industrial and construction sectors that are physically building these warehouses and supplying the raw materials. This creates a massive economic chain reaction, or what we're calling a cascade effect. This rapid construction is seriously straining existing global supply chains for specialized electrical components and things like copper. Plus, to fund this without completely draining their immediate cash reserves, these tech giants are issuing long-term corporate bonds, meaning they're borrowing capital today that's going to take decades to pay back. And it's even forcing business model expansions. Take a traditional consumer-facing company like Meta. They're actually planning to rent out their excess data center capacity to third-party businesses, basically stepping right into the enterprise cloud computing market. Now, part 4, how your world changes. What's the practical impact here? So how does this massive back-end infrastructure actually transform your day-to-day life? Well, for starters, you'll definitely experience significantly faster, smarter digital tools and AI assistance. As global computing capacity goes up, the cost of running AI workloads drops, paving the way for mainstream enterprise adoption. But there are real trade-offs. Enormous power consumption places huge strain on regional grids, which could actually alter your local energy prices, while simultaneously accelerating the broader shift toward clean energy. Finally, this hyper-concentration of capital pulls investment dollars straight away from other tech sectors, fundamentally changing what kinds of new startups actually get funded.
And then there's the impact on your actual job. Our sources note that as companies gain access to this compute power, it will be, quote, shifting your job responsibilities toward directing and prompting AI systems rather than executing manual tasks. That is a fundamental change to white-collar professions. Whether you're in accounting, customer service, or legal work, your daily routine is shifting from doing the task yourself to managing the AI that executes the task.
Finally, Part 5, the massive financial risks. Let's talk economic vulnerability.
An investment of this scale carries some severe economic and operational vulnerabilities. We are currently staring down a terrifying revenue gap. The $670 billion in infrastructure spending vastly overshadows current AI service revenue. The money generated directly by AI services right now remains far below the billions being poured into the foundation. And if consumer and enterprise adoption stalls out for any reason, well, this financial imbalance could severely hurt corporate profitability across the board. Let's break down those vulnerabilities just a little further. If demand plateaus, we're looking at a scenario of massive overbuilding, leaving these tech giants with incredibly expensive, completely underutilized data centers and some ugly financial write-downs. Next, regional electrical grids just simply lack the immediate capacity to deliver the required gigawatts. This is already delaying facility openings and, no surprise, sparking real political friction over local energy usage. And perhaps the most brutal reality of all, rapid hardware obsolescence. Microchip tech advances so fast that the wildly expensive components they're buying today might be completely obsolete in just a few years, forcing these companies to repeat this massive spending cycle way sooner than anyone expects. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Will this historic $670 billion gamble successfully build the rock-solid foundation of our automated future? Or will it succumb to that massive revenue gap and become literally the most expensive abandoned real estate in history? The infrastructure is being poured in concrete right now, but the ultimate outcome? Well, that's still unwritten. Thanks for hanging out and learning with me today in this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on the data centers.